Alrighty, Lana, let's see if this thing runs.
Ooh, fingers crossed.
Let's hope.
Come on, Trans Am.
Hey, look at that. It's up and running. How we got to this point is quite an entertaining journey. Let's talk about that some.
Yeah, here, I'll turn it off. You give me the camera, and maybe we can start with everything that we have to take off of this car in order to get it running.
All right. So it does actually run now, which is an improvement. Here, let me hand you the camera.
Yeah, I'll let you hold up all of your trophies here.
Well, this whole table is things that we have replaced. These are WeatherPack GM connectors that we had to replace. These are basically the wiring harness, and you can see they're kind of crumbly and old and nasty and not very good connections. And these are all location specific connectors. You see these grooves they've got. It's so you can't plug them into the wrong place. You see that has grooves in different places. So they're all location specific. So I hunted almost all of them down and replaced them all. Soldered in the wiring. You can see the shorts that this car had were tremendous. I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah, if you aren't familiar with wiring, you see how it has a covering on it, a little sort of rubbery plastic covering. That's important because otherwise the wires short out on things. And so all of this bare wire, it's the same as like having a bare lamp wire in your house. It's,
Yeah, don't let your dog chew on the wiring.
Getting ready to cause a fire, or at the very least, cause a car to not run.
So this is the table of most of the things we changed. The HEI ignition module, I've put a new one in. The oxygen sensor was stripped out, so I had to repair the threads in the exhaust pipe for that guy. The turbo drain pipe was a cobbled together arrangement that somebody had created, and there's a lot of heat where this resides, and it was starting to melt the hose. This is the stock turbo drain tube, which we got from Joe at TTA Performance.
I noticed that the stock one is not made out of meltable rubber.
That is correct. A very important detail that was overlooked in the modification one. This was the original timing tab for setting the timing. It's broken off, so I got a new one off of eBay. The harmonic balancer, it's crooked, and all the holes were broken and re-drilled to a pattern that was not concentric, so the pulleys wobbled real bad. We changed the motor mounts, which is fun on a GM F-body. I don't know how you guys do it, but it was a workout.
I mean, it's a good thing, though, because that extremely powerful engine, that little 301, is just going to tear itself out of this car.
Oh, not now. We fixed that. How about the body bushings?
Oh, yeah. Speaking of tearing oneself out, that isn't really what the cushions of the car are supposed to look like. You can imagine that it might ride better with the new bushings, which, no kidding, are probably that much thicker than what came out. Like, look at how it's like a weird and foamy. It's supposed to be like a firm rubber.
Here's a box of more components we changed, various carburetor parts, pull offs, all kinds of stuff like that. And then a big box of wiring. Most of this used to be in that car. Now it's not. I've renewed it. I was able to buy the engine harness reproduction, but the actual computer control harness nobody makes. So I had to fix the one we had, which required a lot of soldering, a lot of time.
I kind of enjoyed it, but then mostly I just stood here and I would do like the little end pieces, get them in place, crimping them.
If somebody else wants to do a car like this, you're going to need these books. The service manual and the command control one. These are my notes from I had to have the wiring diagram. I had to make sure everything was right. Everything was wrong, by the way. Everything on this car had been tampered with in some manner.
Yeah, there definitely been a person or two in here before us, and I don't think they had the manual.
Well, there had been decades of abuse and neglect and decades of mechanics not understanding the system. And it's actually fairly complicated. We changed all the vacuum lines, put in a check valve, which was missing. Made sure the canister purge solenoid was good, because apparently it's quite rare. This is California only stuff mostly, like the air pump and this guy. It's a California thing to have the computer command control on 1981 Trans Ams. This car was missing the heat shield for the ignition, so the HEI was literally melted from the heat of the turbo. We haven't fixed this yet. This is the turbo boost light wiring harness, which is, we should have done that first.
It's honestly the most important part of the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the coolest parts. You got the turbo boost lights right there, right?
Yeah. Real quick, funny story about the turbo boost light panel. Ours is not there. It's just a blank panel that somebody put the sticker on. I'll show you real quick. And so I got all excited and ordered one from TTA Performance, and at the same time, Tom had also ordered one from eBay.
It was going to be your birthday present, so now we have too many, but I think I'm going to put them on all my cars. They should all have that package.
It's like an O. Henry story. I think that the carburetor deserves, let's say, a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to this carburetor and to the work that Tom has done on it.
That is the Rochester Quadrajet E4ME, I think it's called. I should know more about it because I'm intimate with it now. But originally, as produced, it had plugs in every adjustment hole so that it could not be tampered with, including the idle mixture screws. Everything was at a fixed setting, not to be tampered with by the public, and it was a government mandated requirement for the era of car.
Now, all of that would have been great, right? If
It would have been great if the cars actually ran that way. What I think happened is I think the General Motors engineering people maybe engineered 100 cars. And they did their lab work, they did driving, they're like, okay, this is the perfect setup, this is how the car's gotta be, it'll be perfect. Then they produced 100,000 cars, and 35,000 of them didn't run right. And so they came up with a dealer service field repair recommendation to remove all the tamper-proof plugs to readjust the carburetor to ensure that it is at the proper blueprint specs, which I think a lot of them left not properly adjusted, even though they were supposed to be.
So basically, it's great if you have a tamper-proof item, if all of the base settings work, but if you don't, then you need to do yourself some tampering, which we did, and we even got ourselves a era correct scan tool.
The OTC Monitor 85, which is very suitable for scanning this car. Actually, we can start it up. We can have those things moving. Assuming it starts a second time.
Oh, big assumption.
So we still have a flashing check engine light, and the diagnostic chart indicates that the ECM is bad. I haven't changed the ECM yet, but I do have one ordered. But the car runs with most of the computer control working. And you can see it's not quite warm yet, but the belt is loose. It's got such snappy response, it spins the belt. You hear that? Well, it does run.
It may not ever spin the tires, but at least it spins the belt.
It spins the belt. It's good, right? You know, it's got the glow meter. This is an old one that's still working. The Monitor 85, you can select what mode you want to look at. Like we'll do the O2 sensor. It gives you the voltage at the sensor.
We'll go back to dwell, because one of the things that is kind of exciting now is that at least all of our test tools agree with each other now.
They're pretty close.
Like 30 over there and 30 over there.
This is I think they're pretty close. I don't know what the actual, I think the target number is 30. The computer system on this is shooting for specific targets, and it constantly adjusts above and below to hit that target for optimum economy. Gosh, I don't know what else to talk about. It runs pretty good.
I want to point out my new headlights, which I did change, and which you might not think is a very big deal, except even all of the adjuster screws on those were broken. So, you know, absolutely everything has been a challenge, but we're starting to feel pretty triumphant.
I think you did a pretty good job for people that don't have any General Motors cars.
Well, we do now.
But I'd like to do a follow-up video up, maybe when this thing is driving. We'll do more of it. Like I said, we still have some issues to sort through, but it's a lot better.
Yeah, so follow up video when it's driving. We'll see you guys all next year.